Okay, welcome everyone to Financing a Business. This is one of our Business Foundation presentations, and we're very pleased to have Jeff Homoliski and David Bennett from Middlesex Bank here today as well. So we'll be able to answer all your questions and teach you a lot of information. We have our presenter, Shankar Hegde from our own SCORE Boston chapter, and he's very knowledgeable on all the different ways that you can finance a business. So as we get started, I just want to make sure that in case you're new to our workshops, that you know all the wonderful things that SCORE does so that you can take advantage of everything. There's the score.org website where we share all kinds of great small business information in the form of templates that you can download, blogs, recordings, articles, podcasts, lots of great information. So check that out. We also have our workshops and webinars, and we advertise those through our newsletter, on social media, and of course they are listed on our website as well. I think one of the most important things that SCORE does offer is mentoring, and our mentors are volunteers, and they're donating their time to help the small business community. They come to us with a variety of skills and experiences that they can share with you. We're working with folks that are trying to decide if small business is right for them, those in the planning phase, those that are starting, those that are growing, those that are exiting their business. So the whole pathway. A beginning session, if you've never had a mentor before, is going to be probably somewhere around 45 minutes. They want to know about you. They want to know what your goals and challenges are, and they're going to work with you to put together a plan so that you are successful. It's not uncommon that they'll bring in other mentors as your needs change and as you move along your path, to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need. So the next logical question is, how do you get that mentor? There are actually multiple ways on the website to get a mentor. Probably the easiest is just to look for that, let us do the matching for you. You put your zip code in. That'll assign you to the chapter that's nearest you. There's a form that'll pop up. They'll ask you a couple of really quick questions, and we use that information to match you to the mentor that's most appropriate to your situation. So with this topic, we do anticipate a decent number of questions. It is easier for me to keep track of those questions if you can put them into Q&A. Everything else can go into chat, that's fine. But if you have a question for our presenters or for our bank representatives, those can go into Q&A. We are recording. You'll be able to find the recording in about 24 to 48 hours on the score.org/Boston website. On the blue bar, there's the local workshop pull down, and it'll be listed there. We will also be following up with an email with some of the slides today and the recording link and the contact information for this bank and how to get a mentor and different things along that line. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, one of our representatives today, excuse me, David Bennett. Sorry, he's Senior Vice President from Middlesex Bank. He has held positions of responsibility in all facets of commercial consumer lending. So we welcome him, and he has a few things he'd like to say.
Well, thank you, Teresa, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to start by thanking you all for taking time to join today's webinar. And on behalf of Middlesex Savings Bank, we're delighted to be today's sponsor. For those of you that may not know, Middlesex Savings is actually the largest independent bank in Massachusetts. And what I mean by that is that we're a mutual savings bank. Remember, we're founded in 1835. And we have no shareholders. And this is an advantage that allows us to take the long view and to focus on our customers in the community while not having to answer to shareholders. Business owners like yourself, they do come to us to help them solve their challenges of cash flow, funding of growth, as well as investment in people, equipment, and processes. They also want to partner with someone that works with businesses just like theirs. And it's really one community business to another. Our bankers take the time to understand these issues, and they work with you to help solve them and be part of your team as you grow. SCORE is certainly the perfect partner to assist on this journey. And as a longtime supporter of SCORE, they're one of our go-to organizations that has a long track record with helping businesses plan to succeed. So I guess our hope today is you enjoy the webinar and you walk away with some ideas and lessons that you can make your own.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our SCORE Boston mentor, Shanker Hegde.
Hi, thanks, Teresa. Let me share. Okay. Teresa, can you see the screen?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, all right. Before I start on this agenda, a little bit about myself. I have been with the SCORE for about 8 years. I worked in a big business like AT&T, Arthur Andersen. I was a partner at Arthur Andersen Consulting. And then I worked for a couple of small companies. So then I started my own small company, a consulting company. I ran successfully for about 10 years. So most of the things that I talk about are really based on my own experience. And I keep updating this slide. So if somebody has seen this maybe a year ago, most of the contents are similar. Excuse me. But I always update all the pointers, all the links. So after this meeting, maybe Teresa can send you this. I will send her a copy of this. So you don't have to really take down too many notes. Okay, with that, this is the agenda. Why do people start businesses? Then I'll tell you a couple of ways to start the business. Then no matter what kind of business you are in, the financing a business is common. So within that, there are a few different ways categorized into different ways. One is owner financing. The other one is called ecosystems. Then obviously where David and Jeff come in is the debt financing. This is a fancy word saying you want to take a loan. But then there are multiple different ways of getting the loan. So I talk about some of those. And then the next one is equity. When you give a portion of your company, in return, they will do the financing. Okay, now after that, I have a slide on funding statistics. Then we'll open up for questions and answers. So with that, let me see whether I can get to my next slide. Yes. Why do people start businesses? Believe they have a unique product or service that will be valuable so that you can pay a price for that product or service. Many times they want to be their own boss. There's nothing wrong with it. And they want to build something. They want to build a product. Then many people say, I want to get rich. That's great, but if your business is successful, you are going to make a ton of money, you'll get rich. But not everybody will be like Mark Zuckerberg, and you don't have to. But as long as you make a good living, that's part of your business. That's another reason to starting a business. Want to build a lifestyle business, and with all the tools and the internet, there are so many businesses in lifestyle business. There are so many cooking websites, I know, the travel websites, the exercise or gym business website, all kinds of websites. And there are so many YouTubers, right? I mean, that's where you can make a reasonable amount of money if you are really successful YouTuber. So there are tons of lifestyle businesses now. And again, as I said, product or service. And part of service is professional practices. You can be running a legal business. You can be an accountant, and in addition to that, don't forget the nonprofits. Okay, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations. That is also a type of business. Okay, when I said there are multiple ways of starting business, many people think there's only one way, means you have to start from scratch. Not necessarily everybody has to start from scratch. You can buy an existing business, or you can license a business or a brand. That is very popular, right? Franchising. So many of these companies are franchises, obviously Dunkin' Donut, McDonald's, and all those. But there are lots of less popular franchising as well, where you can make a decent living. Now, what are the advantages or disadvantages of starting a business from scratch? Advantage is you have a total control over the business. You make all the decisions, you keep all the profits. Okay, that's the biggest upside. Disadvantage is you have to create everything from scratch. And with that, there is a high failure rate. And you probably have heard about 1 in 10 succeed. That is true. And does take, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes 3 to 5 years to make a profit. And there are lots of financing options. I am going to go through most of them here. But then my own experience and your experience will be too. Once you start looking for the money, it's not easy. David will tell you too. They ask for all kinds of things, right? They ask for your credit score. They ask how much risk they are going to take, right? They will ask for your cash flow. They want to make sure that you have enough cash in the business so that you can pay back the loan and you pay back the interest. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here is every financing option has their own pluses and minuses, and it's not going to be easy. Now, buying an existing business is great. Advantage is cash flow. You know the historical results, and it is attractive to the lenders as well because there is a track record. Okay, many times the banks want anywhere from 3 to 5 years track record. So there is a track record, so it's easier to get the money. And the established location and the customer base. And then the operating system, you always have to have the systems in place, and they do have that. However, the disadvantage is what is the real cash flow? You will find out when you start owning that business and when the months go by. And you will probably never know the motive why the seller is selling. And some of the employees may be leaving your company, they may go somewhere else. So that means you have to hire, you have to train the new employees. Okay, now the franchising may be in the middle, right? They have a name recognition, they have the training and support. What they say is with franchising, you're on your own, but never alone. So that means there's a lower rate of failure. But the disadvantage is structured, right? There is a restriction on the territory. They will tell you where you can operate and where you can sell and what you can sell. You can only sell that product from the franchise. Okay, then obviously the biggest disadvantage is you have to pay the royalty payment. Okay, sometimes whether you make money or you lose money, you have to pay the royalty. So you have to remember that. So these are at least the 3 ways I know of making or starting a business. Now, either way, whether you have a franchise, you have a brand, or you start from scratch, the best way is really, or the initial way is owner financing. Means, you put up your own money, maybe from savings and other liquid assets, or maybe home equity, or you can get some personal loan from the bank. The credit card is the last one I would go. Reason is, if you cannot pay the minimum balance on time, or if you pay out all the amount on time, then the interest is very high. So I would stay away from credit card. That is the last resort. But if you can get some home equity loan, that probably is one of the better ways to finance the business. But many people ask me, I don't have any home, so you don't have any home equity. But you can always call up your friends and relatives and ask for a loan. But again, tell them it's not a charity. They are not giving you money away. So you will pay them the interest and reasonable interest, maybe even probably maybe paying 1% or 2% higher. You may have to do that than putting their money in the bank, so that they take out their money, excess money, and they can pay you, so that they will get a better interest rate from you. So that's the way to approach your friends and relatives. So either way, so this is one of the early forms of financing your own business, and I would say you need to do that before you go the next step, because if you go with any equity financing, they will ask you how much money you have put down. So this is critical that you put down some money. Okay, now a bunch of things I combine here into what I call ecosystems. So one is most of the time, there is a business plan competition. I think it is probably applicable more to the students in this audience than the people who already have a business. But I'm going to go through some of that. And then the grants. Grants is available for anyone. So I will go through that. Then if you have a great idea, there are a set of incubators. Then the last one is, you probably heard about it, crowdfunding. So I'm going to go through each one of them. Okay, as I said before, business plan competition is most of the time are at a university. Okay, in this, if you are here in the local area, there is MIT, there are multiple business plan competition. One big one is the 100K entrepreneurship competition, happens every year. Harvard Business School again has a venture competition. Babson has multiple. Dartmouth has it. BU has it. You almost name the university, they all have business plan competition. So if you are not a student, obviously you can team up. Your business will have a student with you. Then you can apply for any of these business plan competition. Okay. The only one that is not a university based is called U.Pitch. I have this here. The website, you can click on that, and then you can go to what I call a futurefounders.com. In addition to that, there are other organizations, American Chemical Society, Draper competition. They are available to any, not just students. Then the last one is the Global Student Entrepreneur Award. That's available for anybody, not just from the United States. Okay, now the grants, many of them grants, many are for women only. The first one is a very popular Amber Grant. They have every month 10,000, and then in addition to that, they have some annual event as well. Again, you can apply multiple times. The way I would go about is on that website, they have the names of the organizations that have been funded before. So I would really go and talk with those founders. And in fact, I will ask them to recommend you so that you get an introduction. See, because anytime you apply to any of the grants, if they don't know you, chances of getting the grant is pretty low. So anytime you want to apply for any of these grants, I would really look into the people who have gotten this grant, and I would talk with them and talk about your idea, and they may be able to introduce you to the people who are the decision makers. Okay, now the second one is Hello Alice. This is only for minorities and women. And the third one is definitely for Black women only. So this one is 15,000. So this is again, it happens many times. I think Gulf, this 15,000 is on a biannual basis. That means 2 times a year. The block advisors is again, sorry to say for men here, but is for women only. I think most of the organizations are trying to encourage women to be the owners of the business. So what that means is you can have a man with a person, a woman, but woman has to own a 51%. So that's what quote unquote women owned businesses. So back to block advisors, it's really the H&R block. Everybody probably are familiar with the tax people. So those H&R block people put up a pretty big. It's really 100,000 first prize plus 12,500 for 4 runner-ups. So if you are hiring the H&R block, you are eligible to apply. Same with a FedEx. If you have a FedEx account, then you can apply for a FedEx grant. Any one of you can apply for the NASE, which is really a National Association for Self-Employed, but the grant here is only 4K, 4,000. The next one is Cartier, is the big one. It's international, and the first prize is 100,000. In addition to these grants, the state has the grants. Every state has a state grants, and Mass has there are multiple grants. There is a Mass Growth Capital Corporation you can apply. Then there is a space grant. A space grant is for, as it says, it's an acronym, but the Boston people want to fill up empty buildings. So you need to have a brick and mortar in some of the areas where they want you to set up your business. And then space grant is given multiple times a year, I believe. There are a couple of clients of mine applied for space grant, and there are a couple of people got the space grant as well. So they're all available again on the website, but I would talk with the people who got the grant, and they may give you their own PowerPoint presentation, the pitch deck and everything else, so that you can take a look at how you want to structure your pitch deck. So again, talk to the owners who got the grants before you apply. Now, in addition to the state and the federal grants, there are 2 websites. You can click on it and then you can get all the information. The last one is critical and important. It's called SBIR grant. There are lots of participating agencies. Let me just share this one. Okay. So almost so many Department of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Education, Energy, HHS, Transportation. Almost every department has lots of money in terms of millions of dollars, and in defense is billions. Okay, so you can apply to any one of them. There is a process there. In fact, some 10-15 years ago, I got $3 million from Department of Commerce. But one warning here is one of my client 2 weeks ago called me up and said those grants are frozen with all the things that are happening in the federal government right now. You should probably check the website, and they may have some kind of information whether the grant is still open or not. And it could be for each department. This client of mine was trying to get money from NIH, which is part of HHS. So before you apply, obviously, there may be already a message there whether the grant is open or not. So if it is open, I would really encourage you to apply. Okay, now the incubators and accelerators. used to be two different types of organizations. That's why incubator is different than accelerator, but now it's all kind of a fuzzy. It means any of the organizations here, they can call them the incubator or accelerator. The idea of incubator was start with idea and they give you some seed money and then they give you some space so that you can incubate your business. And then the accelerator used to pitch in to accelerate your business growth. But having said that, don't worry about now what it is, because all these are will give you the seed money. There is a competition. Again, locally here, the mass challenge is big one. Y Combinator is everywhere throughout the United States. Code launch is probably could be local, but anybody can apply to any of these. When I say mass challenge, I can check on that. I don't know whether you want to be or you have to be a resident of Massachusetts, but for others, you don't have to be. You can apply for anywhere. And again, Harvard shows up here, MIT shows up as well. And then if you are into life science, then there are tons of incubators in the life science business. So there's the website for that as well. Excuse me. Crowdfunding. Again, there are a bunch of crowdfunding sites. Kickstarter, probably, Indiegogo, both of them have a similar business model. They take a percentage of your money and they have a transaction fee as well. The Kickstarter used to be all or nothing. I think they are still that model. Means if you are trying to raise 100,000 and 3 months, if you do not raise 100,000, you don't get any money. Whereas Indiegogo, if you raise 90,000, you can keep 90,000. So this is the difference between the two platforms. And if you are kind of a nonprofit, so Mighty Cause, and if you are an artist, it's a Patreon. And GoFundMe, probably everybody knows here. If you, it's mostly really for a personal funding if something happens and the breadwinner is not around. So many people put up GoFundMe, but businesses as well. And there are Fundable, Circle Up. The one at the end, Start Engine, is a little bit different. It is a crowdfunding, but it is a equity financing as well. So that has become very popular. So I would really want you to take a look at the Start Engine. And there is a link for all these crowdfunding organizations. In that link, you can go and take a look at it and get more information as well. Now, the debt financing is any form of debt financing is a loan. So the bank have multiple types of loans and a revolving credit, working capital, lines of credit. Then there are micro lenders. Okay, there's usually 50,000 or less are micro lenders. Then there is a peer-to-peer lending, which is different. And I think they probably take a little more risk. And that's why the interest rate is probably higher than you get in a bank. Now, in addition to the banks, there is the Community Development Financial Institutions, CDFI funding. They are again the agencies, they work with sometimes the banks, they work with sometimes SBA for the lending purpose. Now, if you are in a construction or if you are in a kitchen, if you are in the cooking, equipment leasing, because you may have to have some money for commercial kitchen, hundreds of thousands. So for that, equipment leasing companies, what they do is they give you the money upfront and then you can pay back. So that's the equipment leasing companies. And sometimes if you have an receivable financing invoice, but the money is not there for 3 to 6 months, depending on your what kind of a you have an agreement with the customer. So if you have an invoice, but you want the money right away, there are some companies that give you the loan and you can pay them back. Now, having said all that, many people know about probably SBA is lending. That is a misnomer. SBA doesn't lend. It only guarantees the company, the banks, like Middlesex Savings Bank. So I will go through that one. Okay, this is how it works. Borrower applies at the bank, and bank decides if bank wants to give you the money. SBA does the backing of the loan. For that, they charge the bank certain amount of money to do the guarantee. Then bank underwrites the loan based on the SBA policy. Then the bank is closing and it is servicing your loan. So remember, always, borrower works with the bank, not the SBA. So why do the lenders use the SBA guarantee? To reduce the risk. That's in one sentence. Okay, the why there is a high risk? Collateral may be inadequate to meet the normal underwriting for the bank. And many times the startup business is risky. So that's why the banks go to the SBA. And then the lender's legal or policy limit in bottom line is minimizing the risk for the bank. Okay, so there are terms, flexible maturities, interest rates are also negotiated between the borrower and the lender. And once it's SBA guarantee, typically, but cannot exceed the prime plus 2 3/4. Okay, again, what is bank looking for? A bank is looking for the owners and operators with good credit, feasible business plan, make sure that you have enough cash flow and cash flow projections, looking for the management expertise and sufficient funds, adequate equity investment from you, sufficient collateral, and the bottom line is they look for whether your business has enough cash so that you can repay the loan, initially the interest, then eventually the principal as well. Okay. To be eligible for SBA loan, you have to be a profit organization. There are some SBA size standards. They're all on the SBA website. And you cannot engage in lending the money you borrow for somebody else. Okay, there are a couple of two or three different types of these loans. They're all kind of similar. So the most popular is a 7A loan. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details here, but again, if you are interested, you can go to the SBA website or Teresa can send you this slide. Other one is, as I said before, certified development companies, CDFI, will work with the bank and the SBA to have what they call a 504 certified development company loan. Okay, this is pretty high amount of loan, it's 5 million. Maximum guarantee 100% of SBA's portion. Again, maturity could be 10 to 20 years. And they have a special category for manufacturing or for green projects. Okay, 504. Then SBA has, I believe, still has a direct loan up to 50,000. Okay, so that much is on the loan or debt financing. Now, this is a equity financing, as I said before. Equity financing means you give up a portion of your company for the money you get. So that's why it's called equity financing. So the first one is partners, right? If you have a partner and you go into business, say 50-50, the expectation is that you and your partner both put up some money together. That means you have an equity in the company as well as your partner has an equity. So that's why it's called equity financing. You can go with another company to have a business, and that company may put up some money in return for a percentage of your company. So either you can go with another company, or you and your partner can have a team with another company. So it's a three-way. Either way, you can. There's still equity financing. Now, once you are successful, what they call going IPO, again, there is a misnomer. IPO is to get rich. Yes, it could be the reason to go IPO, but really the reason for getting IPO is to get money from the public market, right? So that you can grow your company. So that's the main reason. And going public will first get the liquidity for your partners, or for your what I call them, the company that have provided you the equity. They can cash out first before you can. And there is a lockup period. So usually the founders cannot cash out right away. Used to be 6 months. I think it still is 6 to 8 months or 9 months before you cash out. And you cannot cash out all of your equity. You can cash out only a portion. So that's why I want to emphasize again, going public, the main reason is to grow your business. That's number one reason. And there are, again, private markets, which is different than the public market, because private market is still is private. The first category is angel investors, or the seed investors, the venture capital, and then the last but not the least is the private equity. So again, there is used to be the angel investors, you go if you need the seed money and if you need less than $1 million. Now what is happening is, a lot of angel investors are not investing individually. There may be still some, but what they have done is they're pulling together the money and they have angel investor clubs. By the way, I was part of one of the angel investor club, so I know the other side of the equation as well. So I used to do the deal flow. I used to invest in some of the startup companies, so I know how the other side works as well from the angel investing point of view. So let me get to that. Okay, this is really a sample. I would really advise you to Google so that you get the latest one. And what I do first is, first you look at the type of business they want to invest. So I would look at their portfolio companies and what kind of a business they are investing. Because if they are investing in, for example, a fintech, then you want to go to that kind of angel investing companies where they invest in the financial technology companies. So I would again go and take a look at their portfolio, as they say. I would talk with some of those founders before you approach any of these angel investing groups. Okay, in the Boston area, the Boston Harbor is one. I was part of Thai Boston Angels. The Thai Boston Angels used to invest in mostly in the apps, software business. They may still do that, so you can take a look at that. Launchpad, Cherrystone, Landmark, Northeast. The last one is Golden Seeds. Again, this is for women only. The rest of them for anybody. And in addition to searching on the Google, there is a Angel Capital Association. I mean, this gives you Okay. They have a summit, they have all kinds of things, and it's pretty much all kinds of information here and throughout the nation. I mean, this has become really big now. Angel Capital Association all over. So you may want to join, you may want to be a member, and then here is the Find Angels, all kinds of angel investors. So this is a wealth of information here. Okay, I'm back to angel investors. Okay, I'm sorry. Oops. Okay. Okay. Before I go to venture capitalists and private equity, before that, there used to be a difference between the angel investors and the VCs. Always angel investors used to come first, what they call a seed money, and then the VCs will go to the first and the second round. Now, many of the VCs do the seed money and they do the first round and the second round. Whereas the angel investors can go and sometimes they go on more than $1 million. So the difference is really kind of shrinking between the angel investors and then the VCs. Whereas there is still a big difference between angel VCs and the private equity. The people probably in the audience really are not interested in the private equity because the difference between the VC and the PEs are the type of company they invest in, the level of capital, the amount of equity, and when they get involved in the company's life cycle. So again, a couple of minutes on private equity, but then don't want to bother about it. So really, private equities are the companies. If there is a big company and they are in trouble, the PE comes in and takes over the troubled company for a decent price, obviously discounted price, and then they run that business for a while, and they may probably merge with other companies. So these guys are big business companies. They are into business to do a merger and acquisitions. Whereas the VCs obviously are interested in the startups. They're interested in small businesses. They're interested in growing your business. Okay, so you want to take a look at some of the VCs. Again, I would look into Google. These are some of the well-established venture capital companies. Mass Ventures, Atlas, Bessemer, Highland, Kodiak, there are tons of them. So whether you are into get money from the angels or you want to get money from the VCs, always they look for a pitch deck. Okay, it doesn't have to be in several slides, but really what you want to do is you want to describe your company, you want to describe your competition, and then the team, and then some of the cash flow projections, and sometimes they want 3 to 5 year projections, sometimes 3 year. At least I would advise you to have a cash flow for the first year, month by month. Okay. And then always they want to know how they can get their money back, what they call as the exit strategy. So you got to have a slide on the exit strategy. There are multiple ways of getting their money back. One is you sell your company. Other one is really, as I said before, going public, which is IPO, so that they get their money. So always you got to have the exit strategy slide. So it's really half a dozen, maybe 6 to 10 slides. And then to back up your slides, you got to have a business plan. So many times you apply, most of the time you apply online. They probably want only the pitch deck. And then if they're interested in the pitch deck, they will call you for a face-to-face meeting. I think now it's back to face-to-face. Used to be a Zoom during the COVID time. So during that day, they have multiple startup companies coming in to do the pitch. So probably you may get half an hour, but as I said before, the first slide has to be executive summary. You have to tell them everything about your company all the way to exit strategy. So the first slide is the critical. First 30 seconds to a minute is critical. So I always look at the executive summary. I'll advise them on the executive summary as well as the pitch deck. And many times there are websites used to be a gust.com where you can apply to multiple angel investors or even the venture capitals companies. Okay, there are some websites. Some VCs have their own online site for submitting the pitch deck. Many times there is a common site for multiple companies. Okay, again, the bottom line is you got to know their portfolio companies, talk with the founders, get some advice, and probably try to get them to introduce you to the VCs. Okay, I'll skip the private equity. I don't think it's applicable to any of these in the audience unless you are one of the big company people who are in trouble. Okay, now a little bit on the funding statistics. This was a survey we did, 1,000 startup companies we did some time ago. So we want to find out how the sources of startup funding comes from. As I said before, it's really friends and family. 63% of companies got funded by friends and family. And 27% is from self-funded. And 11% is from the loan from friends and family. 11% from the bank. 9% used their cash advance from credit card. 6% donation from again friends. 3% from investors. When I say investors, VCs or angel investors. About 2% from the grants. And last but not the least is from crowdfunding. So I would not really advise you to do the crowdfunding because the chances of getting your money is low, and I would advise you to go other routes before you approach crowdfunding. Now, the other question, once you get the funding, how the funding was used? Okay, most of the time the funding went for purchasing the equipment. Maybe it looks like a lot of restaurant business. Purchasing the inventory, the marketing is about 48%, leasing, product development, hiring the staff, and the last one, other percentage, no, not the last one, paying on a salary. Remember, many times what people forget is in your cash flow, there is no line item for paying yourself, because if you want to focus on your business, you have to be paid, right? So that's why pay yourself the salary, reasonable salary, and nowadays people know that you need to make a good living while you are growing your business. So don't be bashful. Pay yourself the salary in your cash flow. So this is the way the funding was used. Okay. So with that, I'm 10 minutes away, I believe. I think, Teresa, I will hand it over to you for any questions.
Yeah, so now's the time to get your questions into the Q&A. The first one I have is I'm a retired military vet with a disability rating. Are there any unique funding opportunities for that situation?
I think all they are available for any of those vets. And I will turn it over to David. Is there any special category in the loan side, David?
Yeah, it might be worth contacting the SBA. They do have some veteran programs that are helpful in getting businesses started and helping existing businesses as well. That'd be a good place to start.
Okay.
Okay, but Teresa, there is nothing like a special funding or anything. Any of these channels are applicable to all people.
Okay, great. What kind of information, if you decide you want to, let me start again. If you want to start with a bank loan, what kind of information should I have prepared when I come to the bank?
Well, go ahead, Jeff.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Well, typically we'd look for a business plan that would include 2 years of projections, including a income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. And we'd also want to see the business plan reviewed by a third party, like the Small Business Development Center or SCORE or Center for Women in Enterprise, so that an unbiased set of eyes can review it and ask some tough questions for you. So at that point, you're ready to come to the bank and be considered for financing after you work out the bugs in the business plan.
Okay. I actually don't have any other questions. So please go ahead and get those into the chat or Q&A so that we can answer those questions for you because we have the experts here ready for you. Let's see. I'm fresh out of business school and I'm debating going into consulting first for a few years before going into running a business. Would you recommend this route, or would you recommend going straight for starting a business if that's my goal?
Well, either way is fine. If you think you have a really good hot idea and the market will not wait that you want to get in right now, so I think you should get started now, because your consulting experience may or may not help you if you are starting a business with a great idea. And remember, many of the big successful company people, they didn't go into consulting. They started right away, even from the dorm, before they graduated. So I would not wait. If you think it's really hot idea, I would, do right away.
Get yourself a SCORE mentor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Start with a SCORE mentor for sure. Are there funding opportunities or organizations that focus on elderly services?
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's all that I see at this point. So I guess we can go ahead and wrap things up. We will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording. We have another question. In some of the key slides here today, plus contact information. I have just patented a new type of water turbine. Does a bank consider IP?
I could feel that. I mean, that would still be, it'd be, we wouldn't necessarily take that as pure collateral. So we'd be looking at guarantees and other types of backup support on a loan like that, and still would be looking at, as Dave mentioned before, business plan, where you might develop and sell these turbines, customers, geography, et cetera. So, Dave's comments on developing a business plan, a presentation would be very applicable to that scenario.
If you're exploring acquiring an existing business, what are the things to watch out for? If Shankar take this one.
What's the question again? If you are
Exploring and buying an existing business, what kind of things should you watch out for?
Well, depends on the existing business. If it is a brick and mortar, location, as they say, if it is a Subway or a Dunkin' Donuts or anything like that. Then the other one is really a financial due diligence. You really need to look at the previous 2-3 years of finances, and make sure there is what they say, the cash flow is what you're looking for. And I would talk with their customers. That's critical. How happy are they, and what need to watch out for? So those are the things I would do, due diligence.
I'd also add to that, if I could, Teresa, that they should also take a hard look at what effect the current owners leaving that business will have on a go-forward basis.
Absolutely.
Especially if
Absolutely.
they're involved in the sales and the customer relationships.
Yeah, and I can say that we have several mentors that understand how to buy and sell businesses. So
Yeah.
they can, you know, if you have a mentor, they can go specifically into what your goals are and help you design a plan to you know, for what needs to be looked at and considered in
Yeah.
moving forward. So really a great role for a SCORE mentor there. Okay. All right. I think we finally hit all of them. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you to our sponsors, Middlesex Bank. Thank you, Shanker, for a great presentation. And we hope to see all of our attendees on a future presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.